A little while back, we covered off all the primary crafting professions in Wrath of the Lich King, their bonuses, which ones you might want to consider, and so on, and I'll link that video if you did want to check it out. Today we're talking about the secondary professions, as well as the 3 primary gathering professions, their bonuses, main benefits, and whether they'll be for you. The reason I'm covering gathering with secondary is, well, they just don't really measure up to the primary ones in terms of bonuses, and are more for your gold gains rather than PvE or PvP performance gains. And at the end of the day, somebody is going to have to be out there in the world skinning, herbing, and mining materials, so it may very well be worth considering taking a gathering profession early so that you do have the ability to farm your own gold. Tier 7 content doesn't really warrant the level of min-max you can squeeze out of your character, and maybe your guild is okay with that initially as well. I think you can fully expect a huge surge of players making a return for Wrath to at least give it a go, so there's naturally going to be a massive demand for the new materials. Engineering is one of the best states it's ever been in Wrath, and dual crafting is equally very powerful. Mining supplies both of these skills. The new profession Inscription requires you to mill herbs, and raiding will always need flasks and potions, meaning herbs are going to very much be in super high demand. Skinning is, well, not as widely benefited from, but still very much used. The only problem is going to be the open world competition. Servers are all so huge now, but I think we can expect a return from layering to alleviate that. I'll have a further look into gold making for a video later on, but I want to focus on the professions here, so let's make a start. Mining. So first of all, skills are trained in a way similar to how it's been since TBC at your respective profession trainer, and the new cap for all professions is 450. Mining has a few new rocks to hit across Northrend and is generally a very simple skill, with perhaps the biggest change in the expansion being that each rock only requires 1 tap to get all the materials now. Oh, also there are no more failed gathering attempts. Miners gain a passive stamina buff when hitting certain level thresholds, those being each 75 levels gained. Rank 1 for example is learned at 75 mining for a passive 3 extra stamina, all the way up to rank 6 at 450 mining, which will give you 60 extra stamina, which is actually a fairly decent amount for a tank when comparing to the options you have from even the crafting professions. One of the larger benefits from mining is that they will have access to a new cooldown based item, Titan Steel Bars. These are used in many epic crafts from various items throughout the expansion. As of launch, they will have a 20-hour cooldown, though in actual Wrath this cooldown was totally removed as of patch 3.3.3. Still, I'd expect a cooldown from the start, since it would make more sense for the item's place with supply demand and giving it a proper value. I wouldn't go too overboard in farming out several alts for this. In TBC, the cooldown based cloth items like Spellcloth, Mooncloth and so on came down in price so fast, and their cooldown was days long, not hours. So that's it for mining. New ores and smelts, stamina buff, and Titan Steel. Herbalism remains practically in an unchanged state from TBC. We just have several new nodes to pick. There is a new Lotus in Wrath, following along from Classic's Black Lotus, TBC's Fell Lotus. The Northrend one is creatively named Frost Lotus. Works the same way as TBC, small chance to drop from high level herbs, and they do grow normally as their own nodes within Wintergrasp and Freya's Room in Ulduar. These are the big ticket herbs for flasks that will be popped by all raiding characters. Notably, Lich Bloom and Adder's Tongue will be the 2 most in demand herbs apart from this, as they are both used in the best DPS cooldown potions. Herbalists gain an active ability as they level up that applies a heal over time to themselves or others, which is off the GCD called Lifeblood. It was buffed gradually throughout the expansion to scale with max health and just heal more. Nevertheless, it's pretty underwhelming. For example, a character in testing with 20k health should get 780 HP per tick, one with 40k 840 health per tick. It's better than nothing, but not very great. Skinning, where you skin things, and oh boy, there's a lot of things to skin in Northrend, let me tell you what. Mostly used by leather workers to create various items, though has some niche uses for things like bags, blacksmithing, and engineering. The main new item added is Arctic Fur, a rare quality find across Northrend. Notably, you can solo farm this in some dungeons, such as the Oculus, by the majority of classes. This is used in many high level crafts and can be traded in to learn various patterns. As of a later patch, a feature was added where you could trade 10 heavy Borean leather in for 1 Arctic Fur, at which point the price will come down massively. I wouldn't expect this from day one, however. The skinner gains a passive bonus, Master of Anatomy, which at maximum rank gives 40 crit rating or 0.87% crit at level 80, though yeah, not a lot. More of a gold making skill, this one. Secondary skills then. First aid, it's still a thing, you can still use them in arena. When looking it up to see if there was anything significant that was new, it appears as though you need to be level 390 first aid for the book that teaches heavy frostweave bandages to drop, and it's only available through a WillE drop or dungeons, or at least that was the case in old comments that I could find, and I couldn't find any patch notes saying otherwise. And if it's seemingly not dropping for anybody, this will be why, or just go buy it off the auction house at some point in time. Next up, riding. I mean, it is technically a secondary skill. Go have a look in your spellbook, and it does have a decent amount of changes to it, so I thought I'd cover them all here. All of these changes, apart from cold weather flying, were made after patch 3.2, which is Trial of the Crusader, but I would expect them all from launch given the nature of Classics releases so far. So first of all, new flying rank, cold weather flying, trainable in Dalaran, lets you fly Northrend, costs 1k gold. You are 100% absolutely going to want this. You aren't doing storm peaks without flying. Mount summoning time has been down from 3 seconds to 1.5. 60% ground speed riding skill is trainable at level 20 and costs 4 gold. 100% ground speed riding is trainable at level 40 and costs 50 gold. Basic flying or expert skill has been changed. It's now 100% ground speed, 150% airspeed, and costs 250 gold. An account-wide tome for cold weather flying can now be bought at level 80 for 1k gold. This can then be traded to alts at level 68 so they can fly Northrend the moment they begin questing there. And reputation reductions for cost in mount training are still a thing as well in Wrath. And yes, artisan riding, the 280% flying speed is still 5k gold, and no, you can't train 310% mount speed. That was a thing in Cataclysm, but it also costs 5k gold then. Though there are some new 310% speed exclusive mounts in Wrath, such as the Onyxian Drake. Though overall, riding is just cheaper and generally more convenient. Cooking. I hope you like dailies if you want to get everything for this profession, because many of the new items are reward that requires Dalaran cooking awards. These are primarily earned through cooking dailies, and they work very similar to how they do in TBC. A simple quest, you go make some items, you hand them in, get rewards. Feasts are now a thing, and certain classes can benefit from multiple stats. From what I could find online, they last 3 minutes and have 50 charges. So if anybody in your raid misses the feast, you know somebody out there is spam clicking. Feasts, as well as many other high level food, need northern spices. These are again from cooking dailies, 10 per reward handed in, though they are tradable, so not too much of an issue to get hold of. The crowning jewel of the daily cooking enthusiast is the chef's hat that increases your cooking speed a bit for all the min-max secondary profession fans out there. There is also a new pet food buff as well. Other than that, it's kind of like TBC, a lot of items, a lot of different food combinations, but just not really too many uses for them unfortunately. Completing practically all the cooking related activities will award the title Chef. Finally, fishing. It actually gets a decent amount of content in Wrath. First of all, the way it's trained is changed pretty considerably. Now, instead of some zones being too high level for your current skill, you will still be able to cast your rod, you're just going to get junk instead of fish, but you will be leveling your skill all the same. This means you can fish pretty much wherever you want, and eventually you'll have the skill to get fish or other rewards at the place where you're at. Fishing is now trained from trainers instead of books, and the quest line from Nat Pagal and Dustswallow Marsh for Artisan is now also on trainers. If you've already done it, it will now award this fishing pole, so when Wrath pre-patch hits, you can head over there and pick that up if you want. Similar to cooking, there are fishing dailies. Again, they work the same as TBC. Go somewhere, do some fishing, come back, get reward. The rewards, I think, are a lot more interesting, however, including rods, gear, companion pets, quest items, and just loads more things. Notably from fishing, and indeed a likely reward from the daily, is pygmy oil. This is used in both the high-end DPS potions and should be a steady moneymaker throughout the expansion. Fishing now also takes less time overall, and there is a very rare mount, the sea turtle, which is exclusive to the skill. There is a new Kalawak fishing derby, think the Stranglethorn fishing extravaganza, but in Northrend. The first person to fish up a black-tip shark and return to Dalaran can get a number of rewards, including an heirloom ring that boosts XP gain by 5%. Pretty nice for your alts. Speaking of Kalawak, they are also a reputation themselves, offering a number of rewards, nothing too special apart from an epic rod at Exalted, which gives you a good amount of extra fishing skill and underwater breathing. There's the well-known RNG, I'm waiting for my raid in Dalaran fountain activities where you have to fish up dozens of different coins, and if you do more or less all the fishing related activities in Northrend, you'll get a special title, Alti. Fishing will be another good moneymaker due to both fish feast being a thing as well as pygmy oil needed for DPS potions. And those are the gathering and secondary professions. There wasn't too much to add for gathering, but the achievement system and some convenience changes do add had quite a bit of new content for the secondary skills. I thought I'd put this all in one video in case anyone was looking for it, but hopefully you know a little bit more about how things will work in Wrath. That's about everything though. Thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I shall see you all in the next one very soon.